Pittsburgh is taking over. It is taking hold of this town by force. It has been growing for a long time, and I really feel that in today's world, it is really coming to the forefront. There are so many different activities you can go to throughout the city. There are so many unbelievable things to see in Pittsburgh. We have the Three Rivers Arts Festival, for example. It's just this massive festival. I'm sure you know of it at least, or got stuck in traffic trying to get around downtown because of it. But the Pittsburgh Art Festival is huge. It's massive. It keeps growing. I feel like it's actually grown in the last several years, and it's a festival that brings art and music together in a really cool and engaging way all throughout the Market Square, Point Park area. It kind of stretches across that tip of the city, right where the Three Rivers meet, and it's really a sight to behold. Pittsburgh, the art scene is growing. There are art galleries popping up in different areas. The Center for Contemporary Craft is in the Strip District. Hell, here, the River's Edge Radio Network, we broadcast in an art studio, the Millville Studios. There's a studio, a gallery, actually, right out our back door, Panza Gallery. Art All Night has been in existence for many years now in Lawrenceville, and I went a couple years ago, and the line to get into Art All Night, not the line to wait to get in, but the actual line of traffic stretched from the end of the 40th Street Bridge all the way across the bridge and halfway to the stadiums down 28. The art scene in Pittsburgh is exploding. We love the arts here at the River's Edge. As you know, we are Pittsburgh's voice for local music. I am Brian Crawford, behind the microphone in the glorious Millville Studios that I just mentioned. And today we are going to talk a lot about art. We are going to have some of the organizers of Art All Night here in studio talking about the event I talked about. It's an event that goes on literally overnight. It's an overnight event. Fantastic. It is so much fun to go to. They have live music. They have live art paintings. You can actually watch the artists paint a live painting right in front of you. It's fantastic. There's art to buy. And I'm interested to see what's new this year. I'm also interested to see where Art All Night will be. According to last year, when we had Catherine in, who's one of the organizers, she's coming in with a few other people. Last year, that warehouse was the last year for Art All Night in that location. They are moving. So I'm interested, or so they say. I'm interested. The building is still up. It was supposed to be torn down, so I'm interested to see if they're there, what's going on with that. But it's going to be a great conversation with her. We have Only Flesh, who will be performing at Heavy Metal Monessen 3, which is April 23rd. That's a great event, April 23rd, Heavy Metal Monessen. And Only Flesh is kind of an artsy band. Yes, I know, an artsy metal band? What are you talking about? Well, Only Flesh does a whole bunch of crazy shit that we're going to get into, including things like crucifying themselves and putting nails through their bodies, all sorts of crazy shit. So we're going to have Only Flesh in as well. And here at the River's Edge, we are hoping to take part in the art scene as well. So my friend Randy and I have joined forces to create a new podcast. That is right, we are announcing right here on River Talk a new show coming to the River's Edge Radio Network. Randy, how are you today?
I am very well. How are you, Brian?
Doing well. So Randy, the show, what is it called?
It's called The Culture Cruise.
The Culture Cruise, that's right. And The Culture Cruise is going to be a great show. Randy and I are both very fascinated by museums. Randy is somewhat, you're like a connoisseur. You're like the museum king of Pittsburgh. You're like I'm trying to think what like a good example. You're like the Sally Wiggins of museums or something. You are like the expert, the preeminent expert. That's
true. I have been to more than 60 museums in the Pittsburgh area, which, yes, there are more than 60 museums in the Pittsburgh area.
And Pittsburgh is kind of the home of many gems, correct? Many fantastic museums that people don't even know about that you really can't find anywhere else in the country.
Absolutely true. And also a lot of hidden gems that not so many people know about.
What is your favorite museum?
My favorite is the Vernon Museum, which I believe, you've visited it. It's pretty spectacular, but I hope to take people there and to a lot of other interesting places.
What is unique about the Culture Cruise?
Well, it's entirely done on the way to and from a museum. So we're in the car, we're dealing with traffic, all the, fumbles that come with that, and then, talking about a museum that we're going to, in many cases I've visited them before, so maybe giving you a preview, and then afterwards on the way back from the museum and probably to a bar or restaurant, telling the audience about how the museum was and what we thought of it, et cetera, et cetera.
I believe there is one episode coming up where I will actually surprise you and take you to a museum that you have never been to.
That is true. You did get me with a surprise there.
Yes.
Which was quite good, actually.
Yeah, it was a really interesting museum. Our first show will be April 15th. We're going to launch it on the podcast end of the network. And we are actually going to the Baronhof Museum that we discussed. And that museum is kind of cool because it's a museum of musical boxes. Not musical instruments, but different musical boxes and orchestrons and things like that.
They're considered mechanical musical instruments. But actually, to me, it's not just a museum of the musical instruments, which it is. It's fabulous for that. Mm-hmm. It's one of the largest museums of mechanical musical instruments. But it's also in a fabulous mansion, and you also get to learn the story of a very interesting man. So it's definitely worth a visit.
Have you been to Art All Night? We discussed that a little bit before I brought you in today.
I haven't yet, but I look forward to it. So we'll definitely have to do a show on that.
We should cruise our way there to the Art All Night festivities, because it is a yearly event. So even though it's something that you would have to wait for, I think it's well worth the wait. The venue is so cool. There's so much going on. I would say it's probably the second largest art event in the city outside of the Three Rivers Arts Festival. I could be wrong, but I feel confident in saying that.
That sounds true. It's definitely a very big event. You hear a lot about it.
See, I didn't hear a lot about it, actually. That's what I find interesting. I really didn't know anything about it until my last job, and I was a delivery driver there, and the company that I delivered for donated something to the Art All Night event, so I delivered the items there, and I had no idea that this even existed until I made that delivery. But when I went to go to the event, like I said, the traffic, literally, I'm not exaggerating, it was going down 28. There was jammed up like a sporting event back into 28. It was insane. It was one of the biggest backups I think I've ever seen outside of rush hour, going the opposite direction, going away from the city.
I would say the arts are bigger in Pittsburgh than of any other comparatively sized city, by far.
Do you think it's growing? Do you think it's growing, or do you think that it's always been this way and maybe it's just coming to light now?
Oh, it's definitely growing, but it's also coming to light. I mean, we, for a long time, have had, one of the largest internationals of any museum in the entire country. We have a revolutionary buying program for the Carnegie Museum, which we do have the international. We have, artists coming from around the world, and it's a very big deal every 4 years. And then, of course, we have a lot of other big events with regards to the arts. I just think that a lot of people don't know of it as a big arts area. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Between the Cultural Trust and some of the philanthropies done by the Carnegies and the Mellons, it's always sort of been here. But I know that lately it's really gotten a lot bigger with things like Art All Night, and the Three Rivers Arts Festival has just exploded in size, and it's become a mecca almost for art in small cities.
Yeah, and we'll talk a lot about the background of these different museums we go to and how the art community is developing. And like we said in the beginning, this show is recorded while driving, so we have some interesting dialogue, and we discuss things like how Frick flooded an entire town and what a monster he was, and Randy just agrees with me there. So you'll hear it's a lot of.
That's a terrible thing to say about a nice man.
A lot of agreements on the show, but I think we do come to a consensus a lot of times on our interpretation of the museum. I would say at least that we both are like-minded in that regard. Maybe not necessarily the history of the people involved or all of that, or maybe we have different driving tactics, which you'll learn. But I do think we both have a great appreciation for the museums, and it's kind of interesting because even though I've been to several of these museums, I'm nowhere near 60 museums in the Pittsburgh area, so you kind of get in the Culture Cruise a seasoned veteran, and you also get somebody who's been there, someone who's been around the block, somebody who's seen it all, so you kind of get an interesting balance on the show. And I think that adds to the show because you get somebody who's kind of going in for the first time, similar to the viewer, and you kind of have the tour guide almost, so you get that if you're listening to the show, you can kind of experience it as well. We don't give away spoilers, though. It may be like something here or there that's not really relevant or not really that important, but anything that's of substance, we do not divulge that information. Maybe we'll talk about an exhibit that is there, but we won't go into so much detail that it's not worth going. If we do mention something, right, we're mentioning it to try and inspire you to go, not to spoil it for you.
True.
So, yeah, I think it'll be interesting. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be once a month, so it's going to be every 15th of the month. You'll be able to catch this show at riversedgepgh.com, powered by our friends at NJL WebTech. You'll be able to get it on iTunes, SoundCloud, any other podcast aggregator that you can find to pull up from the iTunes playlist. And then we also, obviously, if you have our code, you can put that in there at all. But I think it's going to be a good event. I'm really excited.
Yeah, yes, it's definitely going to be awesome, and I really look forward to exposing the audience to a lot of new, exciting cultural events and museums and things like that.
Yeah, so stay tuned. April 15th, the drop of the Culture Cruise right here on the River's Edge Radio Network. Up next, we're going to bring in Mr. Mike McMullen for our political recap of things that are going on in politics, and I want to ask him about an interesting quasi-endorsement that was given by former First Lady Laura Bush. I'm sure Mike will be excited about that, but very interesting. It has to do with I guess, women power, if you want to say. So that's up next, and then we have your weird news, and then a little bit later, we have our interview with our friends from Art All Night. So all of that and more here on the River's Edge Radio Network.
Leak in your heart, there's a leak in your heart. If everybody... Oh, hey guys, what's up? I'm Jeremy. Good to see you. I wanted to tell you guys about my CD release show on April 22nd at Liveberg. Yes, that's Earth Day. We'll be planting a tree. We'll have a BYOCH, Bring Your Own Cocktail Hour. Sean Atkins, Amy Millison opening up, and a new live recording there by myself. Cheers, guys.
Greywalker had some interesting words for the Douchetown Music Festival. I'm sorry, I meant Deutschtown Music Festival. They wanted to thank them for their nice rejection email that comes complete with a sad-faced cat, just to let you know how much they really care. They truly care about their musicians. They cared so much last year that apparently they sent out rejection letters and they didn't blind carbon copy any of the band names. So every single person who was rejected knows every other band that was rejected, so they can all be sad together, just like this poor cat in the picture. I just don't get it. Greywalker was rated the second best metal band in the city of Pittsburgh by the city paper, right behind Bethlehem. So I guess second best just isn't good enough for Deutschtown. I'm at a loss for words. I don't know. Yeah, lots of great bands at Deutschtown, phenomenal musicians. There's a lot of good volunteers, but there are some real douchebags. And just to clarify, I do love the town of Deutschtown. I'm a huge fan of Arnold's Tea and James Street and Max's and all of these other businesses. I'm giving free plugs so you can give us back some money to help promote your brand. That would be cool with me. But yeah, there's some great things in Deutschtown. Some of the organizers of the music festival, subpar. Speaking of douchebags, Mike McMullen is with us. He's lounging on a beach in Florida while we're huddled around heaters and fires just trying to keep warm here in this bizarre winter that we're having here in this second winter here in Pennsylvania. Mike, you're an asshole.
Brian, I've been called a lot of things in many languages on a soccer field and in politics, and yes, I'm a politically incorrect douchebag calling from Fort Lauderdale Beach, and it's about 81 degrees right here right now, so...
I'm flipping you off as we talk.
Well, you know what? Double that. So, anyway, we live in interesting times in Pennsylvania as we're 18 days out to the Pennsylvania primary.
Yeah, it's getting crazy, and I just read an interesting editorial piece from it wasn't the Huffington Post. No, it was I can't remember the source. But anyways, they said that they believe that it's going to be at the end of the day Kasich with the nomination and Marco Rubio as his vice president.
I'm sorry, I got to laugh at that because I can tell you if that happens, and I mean we can go on and on. We can just talk about 10 to 15 minutes, to give a brief overview of the listeners, just to educate them on what delegates do and what they don't do. But if the power brokers, meaning the RNC or the party elites, party bosses, whatever the hell you'd like to call them, if they try to steal the nomination from either Cruz or Trump, there's going to be revolt in the Republican Party. Probably, maybe myself included. I got to preface that. I mean, I'm a loyal Republican. Have been since I've been 18. But if they try to steal the nomination or put in party rules a week before the convention, you're going to see a mass exodus of Trump supporters, Cruz supporters, believing the Republican Party, and it's just wrong. I mean, there's three people left. It's Trump, Cruz, and Kasich. It looks like it could be a brokered convention. Times will tell in the next month and a half. 1237 is the magic number for somebody to get the nomination. Trump is about almost 300 votes, delegates ahead of Cruz, but we will see. But here again, the Pennsylvania primary, for the first time since 1980, we actually have a say as Republican voters, because normally it has been a beauty contest prior to current 2016 because the nomination has been sewn up. But this year, for the first time, you're going to see unprecedented turnout with Trump and Cruz and Kasich. But, a little sidebar, there are still 6 people on the ballot.
Yes.
Because
the filing deadline the filing deadline. So you've got Rubio on the ballot, Bush, and oh god, I forget the other one. Brain fart. But anyway, there's still 6 on the ballot. But there's only all the polls indicate Trump is going to win PA, and we'll go from there. Talk to us, Mike, about the art of social media, the art of grandstanding in politics. We're talking about art today on today's program, and I don't know if you saw the tweet that Hillary made about Bernie Sanders that kind of went viral, but she tweeted...
What, in the last 48 hours? Or, I mean, if you have to pardon me, I'll be honest. Normally I'm attuned to social media and politics, but I've been out of the loop. I mean, I still check Facebook and all that, but if you can just, give me the highlights and I'll comment.
She made a serious error, I think, in social media. Well, first off, everyone knows that Bernie is the king of memes and the king of social media in this election. Whether he's going to win or not, that's yet to be seen, but he certainly won the online battle. And Hillary made a tweet basically blaming Bernie Sanders for Sandy Hook because he's in favor of guns.
Oh wow!
So of course the internet has exploded now with Bernie fans who are very hypocritical, by the way, because they're the first ones to wave the Hitler card about Trump and make wild accusations themselves. So Bernie supporters, not Sanders himself, but Bernie supporters are very hypocritical in their outrage over Clinton. But my God, what a stupid thing to say.
Well, it's unfortunate, and my apology. I did not see that tweet in the last 48 hours. I've been down here and trying to avoid politics.
Lounging on the beach.
Well,
exactly. We're shivering in the cold.
Well, but look, unfortunately, the power of social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or Reddit, Tumblr, you name it. I mean, if I forgot some apps or applications, my apology. I'm only on 2 or 3. I mean, sometimes you need a full-time, you need a full-time social media director just to monitor everything every 3 or 4 hours. But look, I mean, in the world of Twitter, you have 140 characters to get out your message in virally, and campaigns locally, state, and nationally, internationally, in the sense there's no international races. But if you don't use social media to your advantage, or you don't have people to respond immediately on a tweet, a photo, a picture, a comment, you're in serious trouble. Mm-hmm. And here again, you've got to watch what you say, who your audience is, and let's face it, you could have something up on social media for 5 or 6 seconds, then take it down. But I guarantee you somebody out there took a screenshot of it. Oh, such and such candidate said this on this date at this time, and your world can be screwed. But and there's always an apology, a retraction statement. Well, mm-hmm. Get over it. I mean, like anything, if personally, privately, publicly, politically or not, if you don't want anything on social media, don't say anything. Watch what you say before you say it. I mean, that's all I'm going to comment. I mean, the thing is common sense, for God's sakes.
Yeah. I don't want to get into too many details on this next subject I want to pick your brain on, because I'm going to talk about it a little bit to start off the second hour. But have you heard about the legislature, the Democratic legislature? Several members within the Democratic House and Senate feel, I know the House, I'm not sure about the Senate, but they feel they're being targeted by the governor, and they're actually they're angry. They're turning on Governor Wolf.
Well, retribution and all that. Look, I mean, the 203 House members in the Pennsylvania State House and the 50 state senators. Look, the bottom line is either party, Republican, Democrat, their ass is on the line every 2 and 4 years, and they're worried about re-election, not what's good for their district and the Commonwealth. And unfortunately, even not the liberal Democrats, and there's a lot of them in Pennsylvania, but at the end of the day, the moderate to social conservative Democrats, the Blue Dog Democrats on the House and Senate side, are few and far between, but they're not stupid. I mean, they're worried about their own ass and their own skin in the game. That they want to worry about re-election. But at the end of the day, there's retribution. Oh, you didn't support the budget. Oh, you did this. Oh, you weren't with me on this. I mean, Tom Wolf. I mean, we thought ABC, anything but Corbett. One-term Tom. Well, one-term Tom 2. Let me repeat. One-term Tom 2. Tom Wolf. Yeah. He's going to be a one-term governor. I mean, normally in Pennsylvania, I have to go back to forgive my Pennsylvania history, back in the late 60s, early 70s, we have a very cyclical cycle. Every 8 years, normally one party dominates.
Repeats, yeah.
Corbett was the first one in 30-some years to lose. But look, it's wrong. I mean, you're not always going to be with the majority. I mean, or with your governor all the time. I mean, hell, you look at Governor Corbett, no due respect, but he had a Senate and House, and they couldn't get anything.
And the Supreme Court.
Well, correct.
Which wouldn't have overturned, a bill that would have been passed. So they didn't even have to worry about the laws being overturned once they were put on the books, and they still couldn't even come to a consensus.
Well, and the thing is, the Democrats are not all Democrats. Some Democrats, several actually, are revolting. It's like, look, Governor, with all due respect, I like you as an individual, but they're worried about their own skin in the game, and they're some, not all, a handful are distancing themselves from the governor because they're worried about their own ass, their own reelection.
Yeah.
And it happens. It's politics, but I mean, this governor it just doesn't get it. And you know what? Yeah, they passed the budget, but there's already shenanigans going on about this little sidebar about the school funding, the bigger districts for smaller districts. But at the end of the day, we have to deal with another budget come June 30th, and we saw what was like this last fiscal year. What's going to go forward to June, and I mean it's just a freaking disaster, quite frankly.
It is. All right, Mike. Thank you.
Thanks, Brian. Have a good day.
Yep, we'll catch him next week. We got our weird news for you right now. Kids are always going to get into crap, as you know. They're going to find something to eat, put things in their mouth. They're always getting into something. That's why they have child lock caps on your medicine. That's why they have things that keep kids from opening up doors and cabinets and everything else, because if there's something to play with, there's something to eat, kids will find it, and parents are aware of that. And I'm sure somebody who works in an ER room is going to be able to tell you so many different stories about different things that they've seen come out of kids' mouths or out of kids' asses or anywhere else that they're sticking things, because little kids are crazy. But I bet you no one ever thought they'd see the day where an octopus would come out of someone's mouth. That's right. According to WPXI, a 2-year-old kid in Wichita had an octopus removed from his throat. A literal octopus. And I guess he was in a severe condition. Now he's in good condition. And he dealt with oxygen deprivation from this octopus clogging off his airwaves. So, yeah, poor kid. Octopus, an actual octopus put in that was in this kid's mouth. I guess his parents are now facing possible charges and things like that, which, how do you get an octopus in your mouth as a kid? I just don't get it. It's crazy. But apparently, this kid managed to get it done, and, well, kudos to him. That's pretty impressive, to be quite honest. But, yeah, octopus in his mouth. I do like to eat octopus. Have you ever had octopus? Sashimi. Good sashimi octopus. Very good. I would definitely recommend it. Up next, we have our friends from Art All Night coming in studio. We have Catherine, Wendy. It's going to be good stuff. And Kelly, really, really good stuff from Art All Night. It's a phenomenal event. You definitely cannot miss it. And what's great is you can go to that and Heavy Metal Monessen, because Art All Night is the same day, but it's a 22-hour event. So you can go to Art All Night first, then go to Heavy Metal Monessen, then come back and finish at Art All Night as well. So you have options. You can go to both. You can go to Art All Night twice, even if you want to. Don't forget, we also have Only Flesh at the bottom of the second hour. I'm going to end the show on a serious note, and we are going to continue with our theme of the day, where we are going to talk about the art of grandstanding. All of that here. Don't forget, we have Bold Nights Out Wednesdays, and got Matt Geika. He's back. He's back in studio. He's now on video with us as well, so he is happy to be back. He will give you all of the great information that is coming from the Pirates as the Pirates beat writer for DK on PittsburghSports.com. You can hear him Friday mornings, and then there's always a River Talk Extra right after, so all sorts of good stuff. Great information. Also, don't forget April 15th, the Culture Cruise. But again, Art All Night up next, here on the River's Edge Radio Network.
Hi, this is Zach Bell, the station manager of WCAL, and I'm here to tell you about an upcoming event being sponsored by WCAL, the River's Edge Radio Network, and Placid Promotions. WCAL is proud to be sponsoring Heavy Metal Monessen 3, a free-to-the-public music and arts festival being held at the Monessen City Park Amphitheater on Saturday, April 23rd. This year's lineup features some of the best heavy music Pittsburgh has to offer, including Revival Recordings artist Cabaret Runaway, as well as Solar Burn, Claymore, Only Flesh, Tartarus, Old Lords, Shadow of Corvus, and more. The festival is set to kick off at 1 p.m. on Saturday, April 23rd. Be sure to follow 919 WCAL and River's Edge Pittsburgh on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram to keep up to date with the latest festival information and artist interviews. Stay metal.
Welcome back to River Talk on the River's Edge Radio Network. We're talking about art all day. We opened the show talking about art. Now we've got our friends from Art All Night. We have Catherine, Wendy, and one more time, Kelly, okay, here in studio with us. And you guys are all top people in the Art All Night enterprise, correct?
Captains or
Yeah.
Top people. Okay, so what do you do, Catherine?
So I'm what's known as affectionately the Grand Poobah. So I sort of oversee the operations of all of Art All Night. But Art All Night's divided into like 25 different teams, so who are all focused on different things. So I kind of make sure everybody has what they need. But
Kind of hold the strings and kind of bring everyone together.
sort of, yeah.
the glue.
The glue,
Basically,
yes.
I make sure the right people are talking to the right people.
Very
That's what I
cool.
do.
Wendy, what do you do?
I am captain of the hanging team, and this year I'm also captain of, one of the captains of the website.
Okay, and the hanging team, is that like they hang the artwork for people to buy?
No, this is the curating of all the 1,200 pieces of art that we get from the art registrants.
Yes, that's very cool. Yeah, it's such a huge event, and it's how many artists are involved?
Every year we have between 1,000 and like 1,200, like Wendy mentioned, people who submit artwork, and then we have like 55 artists on site who paint live, and about like 60 bands who are all encompassed from like singer songwriters to like 20 people bands. So
Wow.
we have a lot of people who are just involved in different capacities, but thousands basically.
And Kelly, what do you do?
I'm the captain of the volunteer team, so I have a committee of a few other people that I work with, and we've been working really hard to recruit something like 400 volunteers that we need to make the event happen.
That's got to be a headache.
Yeah, it's so far we have like 75 people signed up, which is a start, but we need a lot more than that, especially overnight. That's really one of the main struggles, is getting people to come say that they'll do a 2-hour shift from 2 to 4 a.m. or 4 to 6 a.m.
Yeah, I'm sure that's it's difficult. You got to get some of the overnight workers, try to get them involved in working, because they have that endurance to stay up overnight. So it's a huge event, and it is how many hours is it total?
22.
22. So it's almost 24 hours, but it is overnight. And I was able to go last year, and it was really, I think, one of the coolest events in Pittsburgh. I would say it's probably the second largest art event in the city. Do you think I'm correct with saying that, as far as just the expanse of it?
Yeah, I mean, we're definitely smaller, than the Three Rivers Arts Festival, but I mean, we do feature like up to 1,200 artists, and we estimate we have about 15,000 people come in every year. So
I know
we get a lot of foot traffic in those 22 hours, even though it's sort of compressed.
Well, last year, I know last year we to go on your point, there was traffic going all the way down 28. It was like a sporting event going to Art All Night, and it was awesome to be able to see that much passion and excitement over the arts. So what will you guys have available this year? What's new this year that you haven't done this last year? I know you're at a new event, a new location. Where will you be this year?
At the Arsenal building, which is between 39th and 40th Street and Foster and Butler. Butler? Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay. In the warehousey buildings there where Heinemann and Scott Electric used to be.
Now, where is that at? Is it near the cider house, or where is it?
It's right off the 40th Street Bridge. If
okay.
you're coming across from the Millville side into Lawrenceville, and you look off to the right, all those warehouses, that's where we're
so it's
going to be.
the opposite side of the bridge of where it was
exactly
last year.
Opposite from where it was last year, yes.
Okay, that's cool. So what do you have new, or what's going to be different this year? Obviously, the art is always different because you have new artists coming in, or they're bringing in new paintings, and that's in itself a joy to be able to see. Really, it's a privilege to be able to see that much art in one space, to be able to go. I mean, people would pay a lot of money to see that, and it's a free event, and there's entertainment on top of it.
Right. Yeah, I think new this year, because of the typical sort of layout of the venue is different than we've had in the past, so we're able to feature a lot more performing artists than we have historically, or have in the past couple of years. Also, every year we always sort of do a refresh on our children's activities or our interactive art pieces. So we have some things that are always the same, like we always do chalk art because that's so popular. But this year we're trying to put together a blacklight room, and we're trying to have like a giant interactive Plinko board for people to interact with. So those are in the works, hoping that they pan out. But those are the things that I think that are going to be different every year, and we sort of try and freshen up.
Multiple stages this year. Instead of just one main stage where all the bands perform, there's There's sort of, the space is sort of broken down into 3 main bays, and each bay is going to have its own stage featuring a different type of live music all night.
So are you splitting that up by genre, or how are you splitting up it when you say different type?
Yeah, so there's the main rock stage. There's also a coffee house stage and a folk stage this year, as well as a comedy and improv stage.
That's going to be fantastic. Now, when you are divvying up the music with the art, are you going to try to pair up art that you think would go along with that music, or is it just going to be kind of all mixed in?
No. We have 6 hours to hang 1,200 pieces of art.
Well, in a way
it kind of goes... We try to keep a sort of family-friendly area where there's no things that children shouldn't be seeing.
Sure.
But as far as the rest of it, it's just too much art in too little time to go like, oh, here's the folksy looking art. But, we try to, hang it so that it looks nice.
In a way,
but
though,
it has to be speedy.
Yes, but in a way, though, isn't that cool in the fact that it's almost, it leaves it up to your imagination. If you're trying to pair up the art with the individual music, then all of a sudden your mind might think towards that way. You know what I mean? When you're looking at a particular piece of art versus this way, you can kind of just make up your own assumptions, and you're not kind of being...
Interpreting the art yourself, yes.
Exactly.
That's what art's about.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. The event it's really is cool. I can't emphasize that enough. I'll be walking there. That's what I did last year, because it's just I know you guys, Tom, my producer, and his fiance Sarah, they tried to drive there, and I think they ended up giving up, driving back home, and then walking anyways. So that's a good problem to have, though, right?
Parking is always a challenge in Lawrenceville.
Walk, bike, take the bus if you can. All of those. Carpool definitely. Lawrenceville has a lot of historic charm. Has pretty tiny streets. Sometimes it's hard to park. So, it's definitely, if you can think about how to get there in an alternative way, that's great. And also, trying to park farther away and walk to the event, parking 5 or 6 blocks away if you can. We do have on-site parking for people who are handicapped and things like that. So we're trying not to, make that a deterrent to people who need it to attend the event. So we do have that offered, but if you can, park far away and try and walk there.
I know a lot of the restaurants and stuff are open later and whatnot to accommodate some of the people, so there will be some places you can stop on the way from your car into Art All Night.
Hopefully it'll be a little bit warmer by the time the event comes. It's uncharacteristically cold right now. How many years has the event been going on? I know we mentioned this last year, but I'm going on, I think, 30 some hours without sleep, so I need a refresher. Will be Art All Night's 19th year. It was started 19 years ago, whatever that is, by a group of Lawrenceville residents, and they were like, oh, we don't know what's gonna happen, but at least we have a party for ourselves all night. Some of those people are still involved. The woman who is the original founder, it started in her living room, was there yesterday volunteering when we were building out the event, which was great. But and it's sort of grown every year since then. I think the first year they had 100 or so pieces of art, and now we have over 1,000 every year, and it's grown every year, and I think it's something people come to look forward to. 19 years old, that's the age of an adult now, so it's grown up. It's really yeah, it's really it's wonderful. I love to see things like this thrive, because I think it really people don't think of Pittsburgh as an arts center, even though it really is. You have the Center for Contemporary Craft in the Strip District. You have a studio here that we're based in, an art studio here at the Millville Studios. You have a gallery right across the alleyway. You've got galleries downtown. There's galleries everywhere. There's the Mattress Factory. There's just so much in Pittsburgh, and people don't even realize I think it exists.
I agree with you, actually. It's taken being involved in Art All Night to realize how cool of an art city Pittsburgh really is. I mean, all the murals on the walls in different places, and, I don't know. I just think it's a very cool art city.
Yeah, I agree. I think if people do think about art in Pittsburgh, they think about the Carnegie Museums or the Warhol or, or the Cultural District downtown, and sort of the concentration of galleries. But I think Art All Night is unique in that it really highlights independent artists and people who don't necessarily even call themselves artists. Just anyone can make work and submit it, and I think that's really what's unique about this event.
Yeah, Art All Night. It's coming up, and we're talking with some fine folks from Art All Night. I'm Brian Crawford on the River's Edge Radio Network. Are you guys artists yourselves?
No, I'm not.
Yay! Yes.
You are. All right. What do you do?
I do lots of things. I make jewelry. I make mosaics. I do sewing. I make my own paper. The list is long. I have a room in my basement that's dedicated to all the different kinds of things I do. So yes, I would consider myself an artist.
Very cool. How about you, Catherine?
I'm not an artist. I'm just an arts appreciator. But this year, actually, I might put my first piece in Art All Night because my coworkers are combining forces to make a joint piece, and I'm participating in that. So I'll be a piece of a larger thing that's going in the show.
Oh, that'll be cool. Well, in both of your defenses, there is a sense of art in bringing people together and being able to organize them. I mean, that's in a way a tapestry in and of itself, because there's so many moving parts to putting an event together of this size or even of this length. I know I started the Relay for Life down at California University. It's a 24-hour event, and just all of the things that go on, and maybe you can attest to this. There's sometimes you just have to trust somebody to get something done. You just can't be involved in everything. You have to kind of delegate, and just sometimes, if it's some people it's going to get done, other people it's just like, please let it get done. But it's challenging.
All of the people that are doing Art All Night, these two jobs, the poobah and the volunteer person, I swear, have the biggest plate.
Oh yeah, finding volunteers is always that can be challenging, and it's also, volunteers are one extreme or the other. They're either so dedicated, and I'm sure you know this, where they're gonna give you everything, or they give you a lot of promises and then they don't show up, or they just don't maybe have that same passion. It's such a dial of differences in the quality, I guess, of a volunteer. Would you agree?
Yeah, I would. I've never managed the volunteer team before, so this is sort of my first time seeing it on this end. So far, the response has been really good, and I think historically, there's a handful of people who sort of show up and get their free T-shirt and then sneak out without actually doing their volunteer job. But I think for the most part, people really, really show up and really do a great job. And I mean, Art All Night really, really couldn't happen without the huge number of people who do give just a couple of hours.
Now, we were talking a little bit about the murals that you have around Pittsburgh, which I think is cool, and I love the fact that they are actually using artists to come in to, I know in Braddock they were using artists to try and revitalize the town and things like that. Last year you guys kind of turned the building into a mural. Is that something that you're going to be able to do this year, or how will you kind of go around that? Because that was so cool to be able to come off the 40th Street Bridge and see this huge painting that said, Art All Night on it, and in the actual wall paintings that you did and things like that.
I don't know that that's a possibility for us this year, just because we have a different building and a different landlord. But we do have, every year we have like live painting that happens on site, where we pair up 2 artists. So we're going to have 50 artists, maybe a little more than that, participate. And they get paired up and they sort of work throughout the night. And build something. And so some of them have already started planning on what they're going to do and have already sketched that out. Some of them are going to sort of let the night like kind of inspire them and start there. But that's one of the most popular things we have year after year. And actually the next day at noon on Sunday, we take all of those pieces and we auction them off, which has also become something that's a couple years old but pretty popular. People can get a beautiful piece for their home that that they maybe saw being created the night before.
Sure. And do you, as the grand poobah who's running the show, do you sleep at all, or do you stay up for the full 22 hours?
I do sleep, or it depends how things are going, but yeah, I do sleep. But usually I'm up for about 20 hours, because we show up into the space on Saturday morning around like 8:30 or 9, and registration opens at 10. And last year I stayed from 8:30 till 9 until about 4 a.m. And then so I was there for a really long time. I was really cold when I went home, and then I came back at like 10 the next day.
So it does get cold in there, or
it gets very very cold late at night. But so I'm up, and then but you come back at 10 the next day, and then I was there until 7 o'clock that night, well after the show had closed, because there's all the prep work and then all the tear down. It takes a lot of effort like that to go into art all night. So even though we hang the art, like when it comes, there's weekends and weekends of prep work that goes into it before, and we've all been meeting since January to plan the event for this year.
How about you two, Wendy and Kelly? Do you guys sleep at all during the event, or do you pull an all-nighter?
Yeah, I'm not really an all night kind of lady. It's not my jam. I'm gonna go to bed and then I'll come back in the morning. I'm gonna do a lot better if I show back up at 7 a.m. rather than staying up until 7 a.m.
So you're not gonna stay up for like 48 hours like I'm doing today? I'm going on that 48-hour run. No. How about you?
I have a 2.5-year-old, so
I'm
I'm the one that goes home because my husband actually is a security team leader, and he stays up all night. And my daughter's part of the children's team, and she is going to be staying up all night as well. So it's up to me to go home and take the little man to sleep. But I'm actually staying there through midnight this year because I want to see Timberleys at midnight.
Very cool. It's exciting. Yeah, so many bands, and the bands are great that you guys get there as well. So I was really pleased to see that last year, see the live music, and that was so exciting. I didn't even, it's so bizarre for it being 19 years old, I didn't know about Art All Night until I started at my last job, and I made a delivery to you guys, and someone said, hey, you might want to check this out, and I'm like, wow, this is great. And, I went to, I think this will be my 3rd year going now, so it was really awesome. So now we're going to make a little promo here. Let's do a little brainstorming session on air. We're going to bore the listeners. So what do we want to say? Like, what is going to entice people to come to Art All Night?
Go ahead, Kelly.
I don't have anything.
I got it.
You
So you
right.
want to come because it's our 19th year and we can vote.
There you go.
I mean, maybe not that, but because it's our 19th year, because we're in a new space, and that's always cool and different. Because you have art that you want to submit, or something that you just want to show off to people, that would be a great reason to come, because you have friends who've submitted art and you want to support them, because you have friends in bands, because you are a band. I think there's a lot of different reasons that people want to come, but it's a really great community event, and it's free, and there's no jury, and there's no censorship, and it's pretty unique, I think.
What's the date?
It is April 23rd. We start at 4 p.m. That's when the doors open for the show, and it goes until 2 p.m. on the 24th.
How does someone submit their art?
You can pre-register at artallnight.org, but you show up with your art on April 23rd at 10 a.m. or until 2 p.m. And there's a really strict 2 p.m. cutoff, because at 2 p.m. we close the doors, we turn our computers off, and we have 2 hours to basically turn hanging scenes, get all the art on the wall, and make it ready for the public to come in. So 2 p.m. is a really firm deadline, so if people show up after 2 p.m., unfortunately we can't take their art, and that's like some of the only restrictions we really have in place. So
yeah, and the nice thing is, with this being such a long event, you can go to Heavy Metal Monessen and Art All Night, which are the same days, so you can check both out, and you have time to do it. So, all right, thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. We have Catherine, Kelly, and Wendy here on River Talk talking Art All Night, and look forward to the event.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. That's we're gonna move into what is up next? I don't even know. We're gonna move into our next segment. I'm like so delirious with no sleep. Up next we have our second hour. So we're gonna start off the talk with some interesting another art form, the art of bullshitting, I guess, in politics. So that's up next here on the River's Edge Radio Network.
Hi, I'm Zaheen Hussein, Millville Sustainability Coordinator, inviting you to grow your garden at Millville May Days. Visit our town, catch the great deals at local businesses, win prizes, and collect all kinds of seed to grow your garden for free. Mark your calendar for May 6th and 7th here in Millville. Follow the Business Association of Millville on Facebook and Twitter at BAM15209 for more details.
One of the greatest art forms in the world, the realm of politics, is grandstanding. You get some old bastard on the House floor ranting and raving and throwing his arms and pounding on the table to try and make his point. Actually, I was just watching a video of Bernie Sanders doing that about General Electric, who I guess were shipping jobs off to China. And then he made a good point. He said whenever they ran into trouble, they came back to the American taxpayer and asked for money. So, sometimes grandstanding has its place. But I hate when people grandstand prematurely. The governor is grandstanding currently. Governor Wolf, the man who can't even get he finally got a budget settled eventually. He never actually signed it, but he's now grandstanding where he is creating an executive order to create equality for transgender people, to create equal opportunity within the state, which I'm in favor of. Everybody is a person, but do we really have that problem in Pennsylvania? Is there a problem in the state house where people are, or in the Senate, or in the Department of Environmental Protection, or any of these agencies? Is there a problem with discrimination? I'm unaware. I feel there was the bill, the law that was passed in North Carolina, and now everybody needs to come out with some sort of statement, their own counter policy, their own executive order, just to get into the limelight because they feel like they need to say something. And really, if there's not a problem in your state, why are you creating things just for the sake of creating? And that's what it is. It's just him being able to put his name out there to say he's doing this or that. A bunch of governors around the country are coming together to basically boycott businesses in North Carolina. And my mind hurts when I think about this, because mom and pop who own a small business in North Carolina, they're not changing the laws. They're not rewriting the laws. You're not going to hurt the state. You're going to hurt the people living in the state. It just doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. Why do this? I can't stand grandstanding for the sake of grandstanding. It kills me. I don't know. One thing I forgot to talk about, by the way, I wanted to talk to Mike about this, but we tried to record the interview once, and we lost all of the power in the studio. Everything went dead. Tom was over here scrambling. He did a good job. It was I guess the cord came out of the wall, and everything just went kaputs. Luckily, the show still recorded. That was a big fear of ours. But one thing I wanted to ask Mike, and maybe I'll ask you, Tom. Do you think having a vagina is a good qualification for running for president?
I don't think it disqualifies you from being in the presidential race, but I don't think it, I don't think it's a requirement.
That would not be a selling point for you, the fact that if you were running for office, would you try to garner votes by saying, hey, I have a penis, vote for me?
No, because I'm born with it. It's just common sense to, it's your skills. It's what you've developed is what you should be selling, not, I was born with this.
Yes, exactly. So Hillary Clinton, she claims to have a vagina. And
good for her. I'm proud.
And apparently now Laura Bush is actually considering voting for Hillary Clinton based on the fact that Hillary Clinton has a vagina.
Well, it certainly takes a lot to sway Miss Bush there, doesn't it?
Yeah, and really that's where she gets a lot of her base. I don't get it. A lot of older women and middle-aged women are voting for Hillary strictly on the fact that she has a vagina.
And I don't get that.
I don't get it.
Vote on merit. Like if this was the NBA or the NFL, it's a professional sport, and like you can be born with a body built for that sport, then yes, you should be all about that, because that's a physical activity. You're running around, you're jumping, you want to be the tallest person or you want to be the fastest runner. But when it comes to politics, this is all intellectual. She's not speaking with her vagina.
No,
so
exactly.
How does that even come into play? It's just
but that is, every debate have you watched any of their debates?
I have.
That's the first thing she says. They ask, how are you going to be different from President Obama? She literally says, in other words, I have a vagina.
Yeah.
That's how she's going to be different than President Obama.
Yeah, not necessarily in those words that I have a vagina, but because I'm a woman president.
In other words.
I'm empowering women to chase their dreams, and there's a bit of her empowering women to chase their dreams. But if that's her only selling point, is her being president, rather than her track record on policies and how she's dealt with being the Speaker of the House. You know, the Secretary of State. I apologize, but if she can't use that track record, then there's no reason that she should be.
And that's the argument everyone always makes for us. Oh, she's got so much experience. She was Secretary of State. Well.
She was awful.
4 ambassadors died, under her watch, because she refused to get them the military care that they needed. And look at this whole email scandal. She could be in jail. I just don't. I'm flabbergasted. And when I see someone like Laura Bush, I'm thinking, my God, I'm glad to see that she's open-minded enough where she's not going to be so rigid and I'm only voting Republican because her husband was a Republican president. I like people who are able to transcend those types of that type of thinking. But voting for someone because they have a vagina. Now there are people who have had vaginas that I had considered voting for in the past, but it wasn't because they had a vagina.
No, and if they're the one woman that I did want to run this year. And she would be
Elizabeth Warren?
Yeah, Elizabeth Warren. And she'd be fighting with the same area Bernie is, so I understand why she's not running. Although Sanders Warren 2016, I'm all about it. So, but it's because of her political track record. It's her job, what she's done on the job that sells her as being president. Not she's a woman and that empowers women to do whatever they want to.
Yeah,
I don't have anything against that, but if that's your only selling point, it's come on,
it's
get something else.
When President Obama ran and Herman Cain ran, but he didn't run around saying, "I'm a black man. I'm a black man. You got to vote for me. I'm a black man."
No,
that wasn't.
Neither Obama didn't either. He was more just focused on the issues, and I appreciate that. It's we understand. We have eyes. We see that you're black. You don't need to tell us.
Exactly.
And it's the same thing here. We know that you're a woman. You don't need to tell us. Tell us what you're going to do for us when you get into office.
Obama's much cooler than Hillary as well.
Yeah.
I like a lot of Obama's policies, but I'll admit, the healthcare thing I think was a disaster. I think it was one of the worst things that's happened in this country. His policy, it just made us slaves to the insurance companies, and it hurt the poorer people, and it helped the wealthy CEOs of Highmarks and UPMCs and other major corporations. But he's cool.
Yeah, he's a cool dude.
He can crack a joke, and he brews beer in the White House.
Yeah.
Did you know that?
I did not know that.
He brews beer in the White House. Hillary Clinton, there's a meme going around that shows her pouring a beer, and she doesn't know how to pour the beer, and it's got this huge head, and it says, "Do you really want somebody who pours beer like this to run for president?" I do not. If you can't even pour a good beer, what the hell good are you?
Well, she doesn't know how email works either, so
I'm
true. Not really, in this technological age, if you don't know how email functions, then I don't really want you being my president. So.
Yes. And what I was talking about with Mike earlier, I wanted to elaborate on that. Pete Daly, I have a few quotes here. This is my friend, a good friend of the show, John Delano. He's the chief political editor for KDKA. He's been on our show numerous times in the past. He was able to talk with Pete Daly of California, Pennsylvania. He's the state rep down there. And Daley is accusing the governor of basically screwing his constituents because Daley voted with the Republicans. He stood up against the governor. So he feels that even though he's a Democrat, Daley is a Democrat, a lifelong Democrat. I've met him before. He's opposed to what the governor's doing. So now the governor, in his opinion, is taking retribution. You can find this article in the story at KDKA TV. It's pittsburgh.cbslocal.com. The quote says, "This is ridiculous. This is stupid. If the governor did this, shame on him." Talking about this situation where he feels his constituents are being shortchanged. He says, another quote, it says, "Western Pennsylvania Democrats are not going to take this lying down." He said, "We're going to fight back." So, and it says they drafted a letter. Let's see. In a letter drafted by Pennsylvania Republican Brandon Newman of Washington, the 11 Democrats told Governor Wolf that some have experienced shocking treatment is what they used in the letter. And Newman says, a quote here, it says, "I want to believe it's not the governor, that it's someone in the administration making these decisions, but we want that person fired because we are going to ask an ethics investigation because this is almost borderline illegal to have the reprisal against us, because we voted in a certain way." So basically he feels they're being punished because they didn't vote alongside the governor. I'm not surprised. Are you surprised? You've listened to the show. You've been on the show. You know my opinions of the governor when it comes to
Yes.
the budget and the way he's tried to bully people. This just kind of goes along those same lines as the way he's trying to bully
It does.
what are really his peers into doing what he wants. This is my biggest fear with Donald Trump. Is you'll see it right here with Governor Wolf. It's this CEO mentality where I'm going to go in and tell you how things are done. Trump is running as a conservative. There's debate as to where his political beliefs are. Wolf, there's no doubt about it. He is as left as you get. He wanted to raise taxes this year. It would have been higher than the tax increase of all other states raising taxes combined in the United States, all in 1 year. Big lefty guy. So polar opposite ends of the spectrum.
Yep.
I think they'll have the same problem.
Yeah, and when you get in the political spectrum, it comes down to the people and what they want, and the really good representatives, they're in touch with their constituents, and when he sees the governor making a bonehead decision and says, no, you really shouldn't do that, the governor can't really call him out and say, no, you're wrong, you're an asshole for thinking that. You can't really do that because this is democracy. This is where everyone has an opinion. Good or bad, they're entitled to that opinion.
Yeah, Tom Wolf's biggest problem is he thinks that he was elected because people support his ideas. He was elected because his name wasn't Tom Corbett. And I called out the teachers' unions the other day, too. He made a statement in Pennsylvania that some of these schools will close due to this budget situation and never reopen. I never heard a teacher union complain about Governor Wolf because he's padding their pockets. It's not about the kids. It's about the money. Let's be real. Daley said to John Delano that he better meet with us or it's probably going to be an all-out war. And then Delano says, all-out war? Daley responds, yes, in our process, everybody's back in the barrel. He may not need our vote today, but he's going to need it next week, and he's not going to get our vote in another budget.
Wow.
So the Democrats are like Tom Wolf couldn't work with the Republicans.
No.
At all. And that's why we were not able to pass liquor reform. That's why a lot of the policies that he wanted to implement were not realized. But I've never heard anybody in the Republican Party vocally go after Governor Wolf the way that Representative Daley is doing right now with, Governor Corbett, that Daley is now with Wolf. This is crazy. This is
very
really
surprising.
Yeah. It's exciting.
It is exciting because we get to see a shit show right in public. It's great.
We do, and hopefully we'll see the demise of Wolf because he may be a good person. I've heard that he's a good person, that interact with and things like that. But he's a terrible governor.
Yeah,
he's a terrible governor. I cannot believe I'm going to say this. I actually floored that I'm going to say this, but I actually yearn for the days of Fast Eddie Rendell. As corrupt as that son of a bitch was, as much as he tried to send my favorite team out of town.
I know, right?
Yeah, I mean, it was still better then than it is now.
But, sometimes, the people that are the good people, are not always good leaders. Sometimes you need to have that jerk up there who will be a jerk, for the sake of the betterment of everyone else in the state.
Absolutely. Your weather up next with Heather here on the River's Edge.
Hey, this is Matt Geica, the host of your alternative sports talk program on the River's Edge. It's called Geics Got Game, and it's every Friday at 7 a.m. I'll give you a peek behind the sports media curtain, zoom out for the big picture, and always obsess over the details of the games, teams, and players we love or love to hate. That's Geics Got Game, every Friday at 7 on the River's Edge.
Time for your weekly weather forecast with Chief Meteorologist Heather Nevels. Heather, at first, when it started getting cold in April, I was okay with it. Believe it or not, I felt that we had such a mild winter that I had no reason to complain. Well, my patience is running out.
I understand, but you do not have to wait very much longer.
Okay, good. What do we have in store for this week?
Yeah, it's a little ridiculous. I'm actually calling you from an actual land phone. Wow.
I know, isn't that neat? I like it when you're in studio better, though.
I know. It's been a while, but had a lot of things going on this week. I had to go out of town, and get some stuff done here. So it happens. But anyways, I don't know how much snow is still on the ground, but we've probably got a couple inches here in Cleveland. So be lucky you're not here.
Yeah, it wasn't bad here. They kept calling for several inches, and it did snow, but nothing really laid, at least from what I could see. You know, I sleep weird hours, but from what I could see, nothing really stayed on the ground. I saw some grass with some snow on it at one point. I saw some vehicles. One day it did snow on my car, and it did get covered, but I just waited till 10 a.m. before I went anywhere, and it was all melted off by then.
Yeah. So we've had a lot of just light snow in the area. A lot of the snow that came through was lake effect, lake enhanced snow. So luckily for Pittsburgh, we really didn't get hit with too much of anything. But I feel like April is playing a cruel April Fool's joke on us. You know, several days too late. I mean, what is this snow?
Right.
Had a bad case of cabin fever today. I'm like, I want to be outside, but it's freezing.
I know, it's terrible. And it's weird. It's cold here, but it really doesn't feel all that cold.
That's good. It just feels bitterly cold here. It's 30 degrees, and it feels bitter.
See, it was colder here this
windy.
morning. They actually went to a low of 19 in Pittsburgh the other night. That was going into Sunday morning, and they said somewhere else I was listening. They said that it was 1 degree off of the record low of 18.
I'm not surprised because right now we're usually sitting at a low of 38 degrees normally, and our highs are in the upper 50s, 59 degrees at this time of the year. But you know, we had a high. I know, just looking from Saturday, we had a high of 34 that was recorded. That was over 24 degrees below normal.
Wow.
So yeah, it's been unseasonably cold for this time of the year, and just looks like old man winter just wants to kick us in the butt one more time before we finally move into spring. Now this upcoming week, you know, it is going to be chilly on Monday morning, and we are getting a cold front that's going to be moving through the area. So we will be seeing overcast skies on Monday again, rain into the late afternoon, evening hours, possibly a rumble of thunder or two. We're not really seeing a lot of instability, so no severe weather is forecasted. I think we might be able to reach a high of 52, so it's a little bit more seasonable weather, even though it's still below seasonal. That evening for Monday, 43 overcast, rain tapering off. So the next morning, Tuesday morning, will be dry, starting off mostly cloudy skies and becoming mostly sunny through the day with a high of 56 and a low of 30. Wednesday, this is when we get high pressure really building in, and it's going to stick around for the rest of the week. So for Wednesday, mostly sunny skies, a high of 57, low 29. Thursday, a high of 60 with mostly sunny skies and a low of 31. Friday, 63, mostly sunny, and a low of 30 degrees. And for your weekend, I think we're going to stick around in the upper 50s, low 60s, and then lows in the mid 30s. So pretty seasonable for the weekend as well, as of forecasting right now. So it looks like not too bad. Spring is coming back, so that's good.
Yeah, they're saying it's bad for the crops as well. Some farmers are concerned.
Oh, I know, especially with the snow. We've had, frost was Thursday night and the Friday morning. One of my patients was complaining about that her fruit trees will probably be, she won't see any fruit this summer. So it is affecting our crops. This really cold weather so early in the growing season. So this is when farmers start planting, and it may be delayed with the growing season, putting a stunt on some of our plants. So unfortunately, it does affect our agriculture, and it's unfortunate. Some people might have to go out, and if they've already planted, they'll have to go out and possibly replace some of the flowers that got snowed on.
Sure.
And I saw a flower this this weekend we were looking at houses to buy, and I was like, this poor thing is like covered in snow.
I was at PNC Park for opening day, and they have flowers all over the place, and I'm sure they were left exposed as well. So.
Yeah, that snow and cold really does damage them. Not only damage, but weakens their system, and they're more prone to disease as well. So, we might get, if we get a lot of rain, there may be some molding influences, but we'll have to see for the rest of the spring season. Hopefully this is the last of the snow. I'm knocking on some wood, so
let's hope.
Hopefully this is the last of it, and spring is here to stay.
All right, Heather, thank you very much.
Thank you.
That's Chief Meteorologist Heather Nivels with the weather. Stay tuned. Up next, we have Only Flesh here in studio here on River Talk on the River's Edge Radio Network.
Hi, I'm Tom, and I know money.
And I'm Matt, and I know funny.
Catch us Thursday mornings at 7 a.m. Real financial information
for the regular guy.
Right here at riversedgepgh.com.
Your voice for local music.
Welcome back to River Talk on the River's Edge Radio Network, and we have, I'm actually surrounded by Only Flesh here in studio. We have Lefty Chris and Jonathan. How are you guys?
Good.
Great. Okay.
Good.
Just
okay.
Yeah.
I'm all right.
Just okay.
Yeah.
Just all right.
I'm okay.
Well, yesterday you were at the International Pinball Championships, so that has to be
Yes.
a good thing. You got to be like on a high from that, right?
Not really, because I was partying last night, and even though we did have an Elvis that played Suspicious Minds, so at the party, that was pretty good.
I doubt there will be an Elvis at Heavy Metal Monessen 3, April 23rd, 1 to 8 p.m. at the Monessen City Park Amphitheater.
We can arrange that.
You can arrange that?
Yeah.
Is there going to be art there? That's the thing. I'm hearing like mixed feelings now. I heard there was going to be art at the event. We're talking about art all day on this show, art in Pittsburgh, and that's one of the things I thought was interesting is you guys, in a sense, are obviously all musicians are artists, but you're also an artist in the sense of a performer as well with everything you do on stage. So
yes.
It's interesting. Tell us a little bit about that. We talked a little bit about that in the introduction.
You guys are looking at me, huh? You want me to say it?
You do, John.
All right.
Talk.
I'll pick up on it. We'll elaborate.
Well, actually, our main man in Only Flesh, Rev, he is not here. He had to go on a road trip for something very important. But he's the leader of this whole kit and caboodle of charades. So, Only Flesh is not only a heavy band, and heavy as in multiple genres. We'll do metal, we'll do punk, we'll throw in some industrial, all kinds of stuff. We even have a surf song. But it's also a flesh suspension group in which people will put hooks through their skin, swing from the ceilings, and tug against each other, do all kinds of stuff that involves hooks through skins. And yes, I know that came out weird, but that's all right.
It's insane.
Yes, completely insane.
Actually,
and it's also a sideshow troupe where you have like Rev's girlfriend Jess, who's a frequent performer with us. She will walk up a set of machete stairs.
Machete stairs?
Yes, machete stairs.
How does that even, like, how's that a thing? Like, how does that work?
Magic.
Like, they're not just, like, out there. Like, is it, is it, like, built, like, is there a platform on each side? Or is it just, like, literally hanging out into the air and she's...
Oh, no. We have a little homemade contraption where you can lay the machetes into by the blade, and they just stick up, and she just walks up the edges of the blades.
It looks like a one-sided step ladder.
Yeah.
That's insane.
That's pretty neat.
That's awesome. So, yeah, but it's crazy. It's I'm trying to think, like, how to describe it.
It's
redonkulous.
redonkulous.
It's fascinating, but at the same time, it's almost like... You watch it and you're like, ugh! I've heard that's pretty much what Zach said the whole interview when you guys were on WCAL was, ugh! And I think that's probably the best description of how it is to watch it. I mean, it's fascinating and cool, but you're also thinking, ugh, because it's having something stuck out of you would be very ugh.
Well, Rev's mission is to push the limits of the human body, so he just does it in an entertaining form. So. That's what he always says. So.
No, you don't have any hooks in your body.
No,
I don't either. You do. Okay.
Oh, yeah, he does.
So how do you two fit in without having hooks? Because obviously, if you have hooks, you're part of the show. Clearly, you two are on stage. You're not just standing in the corner looking at the wall. You're engaged. So how do you contribute to the performance on stage without having all of the body modification that Lefty has here.
Well, I guess you could take this two different ways. You could take it as in like how we met Only Flesh and how we ended up in Only Flesh. It's because
Tell me the story.
Because Chris and I are in another band, the Existential Gentlemen.
We've got actually.
Yes.
Tom, you want to hold up that in front of the camera? Yeah, we got the.
And we played a bunch of shows with Only Flesh, and we've become really good friends with Only Flesh. And when they needed a couple of members, they got Chris and I. So that's just how it happened. We became good friends. We loved what they did, and they wanted us. So here we are.
There was a definite mutual musician respect.
Yes, yes.
So like they were like a go-to, and when they accepted, we were thankful. So that's good, especially to join such an oddball group of people.
Yeah. So even though Chris and I are very vanilla and we don't do that kind of stuff, there's the mutual musical respect and what we can contribute in that way. It just worked.
Well, didn't you do something to your instrument to kind of contribute? Is that?
Well, I'm going to.
Okay.
And that's going to be seen at Monessen for the first time.
All right, so that's come to Heavy Metal Monessen. You can see something for the first time. It's breaking right there. So.
Anyways, I'm very active on stage, and I like to mingle with people in the crowd.
You are. You jump around.
Yeah, all kinds of stuff. So while everyone's doing their own, like their various sideshow things or whatever, I'm like the really energetic, crazy one up on stage doing ridiculous things. And one of the things I'm going to be working on is I just bought a cheap bass, and I'm going to cover it in metal plates. And now we have a grinder team as well. You have a bunch of girls with grinders, and they use the edges on metal plates to shoot sparks all over the place. So they're going to do that on my bass once I have metal plates on the bass.
Awesome.
So are you guys doing a full show at Heavy Metal Monessen?
Full show. Fire, sparks, whatever.
What if little Johnny comes walking by?
Too bad.
Too bad for little Johnny. So.
Grow up.
Faster.
Is it right? Is it easier or harder to do what you do outside?
Ooh, that's a good question. Outside, I guess it would be a little harder because then you have to make rigs to be able to suspend from, unless there is, like a proper stage that you can reach into that and really do the full show. Drumming while suspending, or having hooks makes the whole process of being a musician, being a drummer, that much more entertaining, and it was a challenge for myself. And
that would have to be an incredible challenge to.
Nobody else does it.
Yeah, I imagine so. And how do you manage to make that work? Because I imagine your concentration would be kind of split between hanging and drumming.
Well, actually, you kind of end up forgetting about the hooks and stuff like that. When you're in the moment, you don't really realize any of that happening. Like, you feel it, but it doesn't affect me in that manner.
Is it painful when you have How does that work? Because I imagine when I would think a hook is going through my body.
Well, the piercing, of course, is painful, but once you get moving and everything like that, like your body just kicks into high gear, so you're on the fly.
Now you guys have actual body modifiers, correct, or something to make it safe or make it how do you?
Oh yeah, we have professional piercers.
Yes, okay.
On scene. Like
my friend called it a modifier, and he knows one of the guys who works with you, so that's just the term that I
Rev.
learned.
He's like definitely a great professional piercer. So
we also have Mikey and Josh.
I was gonna say we have
they both are professionals as well, and they're also our fire spitters.
Yeah,
at the same time, they double as fire spitters.
Nice. So there's going to be fire at Heavy Metal Monessen.
Yes,
because when I saw you guys,
of course there's going to be fire.
Well, see, I didn't know because when I saw you guys, I saw you at the Hard Rock, and you didn't have any. I don't remember any fire.
Because it's Hard Rock,
well,
you got to follow some regulations.
Yeah.
We're not that kind of a rebel where we're going to go in and mess up a place. We respect it.
Definitely.
So
just think about the
Great
Great White
with
incident.
it, though, it's happening.
Yeah, that's exciting. Yeah, I think that's going to be interesting to see. I'm a little nervous to see it, actually, to see the hanging and things like that.
I'm happy that you're nervous.
Yeah, I think that's going to be. I don't know how. I mean, that's. I mean, I saw your guys' music video. That was pretty intense because I believe was that your release party at the Hard Rock for the music video, or I know it was being played.
Yeah, we had a release party there for which music video are you speaking of? Crucifixen? No.
Favorite Shade of Grey.
Favorite Shade of Grey. Good. Yeah.
That's
it
one
was a
Extents
release
were on
party.
as well. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, so I was there for that, and I saw you guys perform there. So, and I've seen the music video, so I kind of have at least some idea what to expect. But to see something on video versus seeing something live,
Right.
it's going to be a completely different experience.
I like the whole process that bringing the shock back into the rock. Haha, but it's like seriously something that has been long gone, and I think people like they're opening up again to this whole shock aspect of everything, which is cool. I think it's a missing like theatrical part of rock and roll, and I'm happy to be a part of a group that's bringing that back to the kids, I guess you could say.
Is it hard?
Just don't do that at home.
Yes, that's a good point. And is there a risk to I mean, obviously there's going to be some risk to what you do, but I know you work to minimize that as much as possible. But what are some of the risks? Some besides the obvious.
Well, always have a professional at hand. Don't do it yourself.
Yeah.
The risks? I mean, I guess. Well, that's a good.
Sometimes the skin doesn't hold up.
Yeah,
And we had an incident on Halloween where that happened.
Really?
Yeah.
What happened? Like how like it doesn't hold up? What do you mean? Like how does the skin?
It'll tear. Yeah.
So then what do you have like to get stitches and everything to repair it?
Well, in the case of
never dealt with anything
in the
like
case
that.
of Jessica, they just patched her up and she continued the show. We played up in Indiana on Halloween. I dressed as Andrew WK. It was pretty sweet.
Yeah, the patching process was interesting.
Yeah, but anyways, we played a set. Then we did some sideshow and suspension stuff. Then another set, and during that middle part, Jessica was doing, which is Red's girlfriend, as I explained earlier. She was doing a suspension called the astronaut. That's hooks through your ass.
Okay, astronaut.
The astronaut. And one of the hooks did not hold up. That's all I gotta say. It was pretty rough, but we got her patched up, and she continued on doing stuff for the next set.
That's insane.
Chris is here, by the way.
I know.
I am.
Yes. We got the wireless mic we could share.
All right.
You're
Cool.
like hiding over in the corner.
Chris likes to share.
That's true.
So actually, Chris, is it hard to appeal to a wide base given what you do? Because I imagine some people would probably be turned off by what's happening on stage.
No, I think it's pretty cool because at the end of the day, like it's still rock and roll music and anybody can enjoy it. There's a lot of people though that I'll see that can't look, but they're still jamming to it and having a good time. But some people will hide around the corner because they don't want to see what's going on. But
so some people, it's like they bring the blindfolds because they love the music, but they're not that they don't like what you do, but they might be like squeamish because I feel like somebody might think what you're doing is awesome, but they might still be like, "Ooh, I don't know if I can handle this."
Sometimes, yeah, it happens every once in a while. But a lot of times you just see everybody rocking out and it's a great time.
Yeah, it's. I did see a little bit at the Hard Rock. You guys did do a little bit there, so I was able to see some. Not any. You didn't hang or anything, but I was able to see some of the, the hooks and things like that as well. Yeah. So that was pretty cool. But I'm interested to see this setting. And when you go to an event like Heavy Metal Monessen, which has that has a roof, right? But it's high up.
Yeah.
If I remember. Yeah. Do you incorporate that into what you do?
Ladders, climbing gear. Get up there, get a rig up there.
Okay, so you are going to be using the actual roof of the pavilion.
Well, we do not know yet. That's up to Rev.
Okay.
So he'll figure it out. We don't know exactly what we're going to do, but he'll figure it out.
Awesome. We have Only Flesh here in studio. They will be performing at Heavy Metal Monessen 3, which is going to be at the Monessen City Park Amphitheater. You gotta come in. I think are you out of thing? Oh, I could see you, but just barely. All right. He's here.
Stay uncomfortably close to him the rest of the show.
That's right. No, this is like one of those things. It's like that sports show where you gotta like stand like right next to each other and talk all serious. Yeah, like it's like real intense because we're standing this close, so you know that this is serious.
Serious
right?
Yes.
Serious.
Serious.
This is serious.
That's
I'm
right.
totally serious right now.
That's serious. We're on camera for those listening. But the event, Heavy Metal Monessen 3, have you guys done anything like that before at a community park?
We've played.
The haunted houses are kind of close to that in terms of
Yeah,
having an
that's true.
overall all ages audience, right?
What haunted houses have you performed at? That would be a cool.
Houston's Haunted Hollow.
Where's that at?
It's in Rockville, PA.
Yeah, it's out towards Somerset.
Yeah.
But
Haunted,
that-
awesome.
Haunted
Yeah.
Hoochie.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And that's in Ohio.
Haunted Hoochie.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, the
that
haunted
would be-
hoochie thing that Only Flesh does is just
That's
a suspension inside show.
That would be fantastic to see. I imagine, like, I could just imagine going to the haunted house and seeing that. I honestly, I feel like you guys might steal the show at the haunted house.
Well, actually, the crowd is. The line forms before the stage, so whether or not they want to see it, they have to see it.
Yeah.
And a lot of things happen. Sometimes you get people passing out. But like
That's
their
awesome.
haunted house is amazing though too.
Yeah. Now that's the way to do it. You gotta. Sometimes it's really easy to just like find those opportunities to force people in. Like for Millville May Days coming up, which I think is May 6th. The promo will play on the show. You'll hear it. But May 6th, we'll be out there on the street. It's like you will listen to our music. You will see us as you walk by. And sometimes that's the best way to expose yourself and your brand to other people.
Right.
So.
Except that our brand involves our singer crushing a cinder block against his nuts with a sledgehammer.
How does he have kids? Is he going to? Does he not? Does he plan to have kids?
I don't think so.
Because I imagine that would be that would pretty much be a killer for that. How does he do that? Because I imagine that's like it's a cinder block. I mean,
his
that's
girlfriend does it to him, so
well,
it's okay.
that's how it works. Okay.
Science.
So,
Yeah.
makes sense.
We're not gonna have kids.
Oh man. So you're Jonathan involved
Yes.
with the festival on a more universal level as well.
Yeah, I'm the producer.
Yes. So, how difficult is it to produce a
I'm the producer.
How difficult is it to produce a show that you're in? I imagine there's a lot of craziness and running around and everything else.
That's what he does best.
That's what he does best.
Yes,
yeah.
I am always crazy and running around. In fact, when we played this show out towards Cincinnati, we showed up and there was a really terrible PA system, and I was just losing it, and I was just getting on everyone's case about it too. Like these guys that brought this awful PA system. I'm that guy. I like to take charge of things, and it's what I've always done. It's what I've always naturally done. So when I joined Zach in doing Heavy Metal Monessen, it just came natural. I knew what to do. I knew how to handle it. So not a whole lot of craziness to it. But people think I'm crazy when they see me going insane trying to handle this. But to me, it's natural.
I know you guys are trying to bring artists down to the festival. Is that something that you foresee happening, or is it kind of a question right now?
That comes down to Zach, but I did throw him some ideas.
'Cause I think that would be cool. I think
yeah.
that would be an interesting thing to add to the festival. That's something that we've talked about in the opening of today's show, that a lot of festivals are kind of combining the two. Panza Gallery, they have a stage, for example. Art All Night has live music there. The Three Rivers Arts Festival obviously has live music. So I think it's kind of a cool thing to be able to add or to music, and people are able to see the art. Maybe if they're too squeamish to watch you, they might listen and look at some artwork.
Well, part
at
of
the
the
same
idea
time.
that I had, and I ran this past Zach, and he's going to get a hold of the proper people. But I want to see like some live painting happening with the metal music, letting the metal music encourage and inspire the live painting to see what happens to the paintings.
That would be cool.
So.
I think that would be fantastic. That's a cool
just
idea.
Destroy my canvas.
Just rip it apart.
There you go.
Speaking of destruction,
Uh-oh.
what's the worst on-stage disaster you've experienced?
Ooh, that's a good question. Like, should I even speak of those things?
I don't
That's
know.
weird. Well, you know what? Okay, I got one. Many years ago on tour, we were doing a zombie show, and Rev encouraged us to get zombie makeup. And we usually don't do makeup, because
Sure.
our blood's real
Yeah.
and stuff like that. And they put this streak of blood down over my head and past my eye, like this open wound type thing. Well, now I had to play, and I started to sweat, of course.
Yes.
And it all goes into my eyes. So now I'm playing blind and in pain. Directly after the show, I run out back, and there's these flags like a car lot flag type thing, like decoration.
Yeah. Okay.
And I take it and I push them into my eyes because I wear contacts.
Yes.
And the fake blood squirts out from underneath my
Oh,
contacts.
my God.
But yeah, like that was a it wasn't destructive necessarily, but it sucks.
That sucks. That's terrible. That's like we had this party here, and I was like, literally, you heard, I was screaming on stage just to try and sound normal, and it's just like when you have something that takes away one of the vital functions of your performance, it's extremely difficult.
Yeah, you was completely losing your voice.
Oh, it was
day,
gone.
yeah.
I was actually screaming on stage.
Yeah.
Like, literally screaming. I was in so much pain after that festival. I was like an old man walking, like crippled, trying to like. I was walking at like the speed of snail on my way to another event, which of course I didn't just go home and rest like I should have. I went to another event and then I went to work.
I told you to go home too.
Oh yeah, you did.
Yeah.
But I went out to I went to Mr. Smalls instead. And I went home and I took a shower. And then I went into work, so I worked an 8-hour shift on top of it. But
sounds great. What about you? Any
disasters?
Any disasters?
I'm
Chris?
coming straight from something else too. We had the band I recorded, the Hedonism Bots' CD release show last night, and that was pretty cool. So then John got a shower on the way here, but I did not.
Oh yeah,
so you are the disaster. You're like a biological disaster right now.
Is it difficult? What's that?
I was
is it difficult? You were obviously right now you're working to reinvigorate Existential Gentlemen. You guys are making some changes and things like that. But is it difficult whenever you guys are full force to manage being in two bands that are? I guess sometimes you guys go to similar events, so that probably helps. But is it hard to try and juggle being in two different bands at the same time?
No, I don't think it's hard. Like, if we have like a thing where one band's playing another show and one's playing the other one, like, we'll figure it out otherwise. But usually if it comes to something like that, we'll just put both bands on the show. Why not?
Yeah, and I think they do complement each other in style, as you said earlier. They both kind of have I don't know, almost like an underground feel to it. Does that make sense?
Very niche.
Yes. Yeah. That's a good description, I would say. You guys are niche, but I do think that your music can help carry the band beyond the niche, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? I think the music is great, and I think it's very cool what you guys do on stage. But even for like we've said, people who may not be into it, they could still experience the music and still like that. I think the quality of the music is there.
Are you asking me a question?
I'm just making a statement.
He was looking your way.
It definitely is. It definitely is. I don't know. I really enjoy the diversity of our music, meaning we can go from each genre and still have fun, rock it out, and people enjoy it. I think
that your style allows you to do that, because I know a lot of bands, if they tried to go from genre to genre, that would fall apart, because people go and they want to hear a specific thing and they're trained to hear that specific thing. But I think what you guys do, maybe it can bring in fans that are loyal to the whole experience. Maybe do you think that allows you to kind of transcend beyond being stuck in one genre?
I think that's exactly it. They come for the whole experience, and they do not mind the different styles, because in the end it's all rock. It's all rock.
Yeah, it all has a good solid rock backbone. Like, you could put any other kind of genre, like flair or flavor, over top of it, but
like we have a surf song, for example.
The main base of it, like especially with like John and Lefty like locked together, it still has like a good rock and roll backbone that keeps it solid.
Backbone.
Nice. Yeah, I'm excited. It's going to be Heavy Metal Monessen, April 23rd, 1 to 8 p.m. at the Monessen City Park Amphitheater.
Can I give like 2 shout outs?
Absolutely.
All right. 1 to Cold Cock Whiskey for sponsoring us.
Yes.
Also, I'd like to give one out to Silver Fox Drumsticks, beststick.com. It's amazing. Their company is the greatest.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Real quick,
Yeah.
Why should I come out to Heavy Metal Monessen 3 Saturday?
Are you
23rd?
asking in terms of us being Only Flesh, or are you asking me in terms of me being like a producer?
Only Flesh.
Because of Only Flesh? Well, we don't get to do the full show very often. This is one of the few opportunities, so you're going to get completely blown away by it.
Plus, just in a general standpoint, if you were there last year and you had a good time, this year is going to be even better. And if you weren't ever there before, you should come, because it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I think it will be awesome. And one of the cool things, if you've been there for all 3 years like I have, you can definitely see a progression in the festival. It keeps going further and further to a better product. I mean, it was awesome the first year, but it just seems like it is constantly growing. There's definitely no stagnation in anything that you guys do.
Yes, we have 2 stages this year, so
yes, so we're excited about that. All right, so come out Saturday, April 23rd, Heavy Metal Monessen 3 at the Monessen City Park Amphitheater, and stay tuned for up next. We're going to end the show on a serious note here on River Talk on the River's Edge Radio Network.
Get your weekly weather forecast every Monday morning on River Talk at 6 a.m. with me, meteorologist Heather Nevels, broadcasting from Millville Studios on the River's Edge Radio Network.
Every morning, well, as you know, I work overnight. Every morning I leave work and I have a routine. I like to go to the Strip District. I like to go to La Prima's Coffee, one of my favorite coffee places, and I will get a latte usually. And while I'm there, and then after I leave there, I come to the studio and I prepare all of the work for the day, doing all the post-production, the video editing, all of that work. Well, the other day I went to La Prima, and I was stuck in traffic. There was this poor lady, she couldn't go. She needed to make a left turn. The traffic was backed up, and it was at a standstill. It was not moving at all. There were police everywhere. It was a madhouse, and I thought, what the hell could be going on? And then I found out, to my great dismay, the vice president decided to close the entire Strip District so he could go eat pancakes. I'm sure the vice president didn't know that I was there. I was getting my coffee, and I needed to run. Because surely he would have made an exception for such a local store like myself, but I think it's very inconsiderate for politicians to come in and displace local celebrities from their own town. I mean, he should be here garnering my support. He should be trying to get my support for his initiatives. Instead, he's in here blocking roads, he's screwing up with my day, he's causing a clusterfuck in the Strip District, and I just think we need to be better than that. We need to be a society that looks out for the big fish. Screw the little guys, but at least, make room for me, clear a path, maybe bring my coffee to Liberty Avenue so I don't have to come back down Penn Avenue. Just come up with some sort of solution to make things work for me. That's all I'm asking, just a little consideration from the vice president. So, Obama appointed him, as his running mate, so thanks, Obama. Next week, we have Jeremy K. Wood. He's going to be in studio. He has a CD release party that it will be the 22nd. It's going to be April 22nd, the day before Heavy Metal Monessen, the day before Art All Night. So you have a busy weekend ahead of you. So stay tuned for that. Jeremy's a great guy. You can catch him at Ham Bones every Sunday for the acoustic brunch. You can catch him every Tuesday night at Ham Bones for their acoustic event. And it's always good stuff. He's down at Smalls. He's involved with everything. So thank you so much to Art All Night. Thank you to Only Flesh. Don't forget Millville May Days at the beginning of May. You can catch us right outside, right out front on North Avenue. For Tom Benoit, for Heather Nevels, and for Mike McMullen, I'm Brian Crawford. You're listening to River Talk on the River's Edge Radio Network, your voice for local music. Bold Nights out Wednesday.